How do you overcome the poison of ignorance? By seeking to develop wisdom. But what is wisdom? How is it different than knowledge? And how do you get it? Stay tuned to find out.
Life is a journey,
not a destination.
And you don't need to go it alone.
Join me for practical tips and strategies on using mindfulness techniques and creating mindset shifts that can reduce stress, improve productivity, and give you a fresh perspective on work and life.
This is a Candy Factory Mini.
Mastering the Mindful Mindset
with Jose Johnson.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Mastering the Mindful Mindset. I'm your host, Jose Johnson. Today, we're going to talk about ignorance, knowledge, and wisdom. But first, let's set the stage properly by doing a little reset. Now, if you've watched any of the previous episodes, you'll hopefully remember this exercise. If you haven't watched them yet, don't worry. You can still easily follow along. Just make sure you go back to episode 1 and watch it later so you can catch all of the details. So, either sitting or standing, put one hand just below your belly button and the other hand on the small of your back. And imagine that your abdomen is like a big balloon. And we're going to take a nice deep breath in, filling the belly. So a nice deep breath in. And relax, let it go. And again, a nice deep breath in. And relax, slow breath out, let it go. And one more nice deep breath in. And relax, let it go. All right, hopefully that little reset has allowed you to clear your mind and get you in the right state of mind for our time together today. In our last episode, I talked about the 2 darts and the 3 poisons. The first darts are the painful experiences that occur as a part of our life. The second darts are the painful experiences that you inflict on yourself because of the first dart. The first darts are the cause of pain. The second darts are the cause of our suffering. And the second darts are tipped with one of the 3 poisons. Those poisons are ignorance, attachment, and aversion. And since that episode, I've received feedback from a number of you that this message was extremely impactful and wanted me to dive a little bit deeper into the 3 poisons. Well, ask and you shall receive. So today we're going to take a look at the poison of ignorance and the antidotes of knowledge and wisdom. Ignorance comes from a place of lack. A lack of information, a lack of understanding, a lack of perspective. Let's think for a moment how the brain and the mind work. We experience life through our senses. All of the things that we see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. This is all the information that is received by our sensory organs and then passed on to the various processing sites in our brain. Now, in the most simplistic terms, we can't experience anything new unless we first receive some type of information. But the information doesn't really mean anything until it's processed by our brain. It has to be put together so that it can be understood. And once the brain understands what you're experiencing, it interprets the data and your mind decides how you're going to respond or react by applying the filters of memory, emotion, and social conditioning. So, for example, light reflects off of an object and it's received by your eyes. Now, that's simply the information. The sensory input is passed on to your visual cortex that stitches all the bits of information together. And your brain recognizes that you're looking at a diamond. That's the understanding. Then your mind kicks in and decides that this is your lucky day and you pick it up and you put it in your pocket. That is the perspective. So what does this have to do with the poison of ignorance? Well, if you don't receive information, or if the information is false or distorted, you can't come to a proper conclusion. And if you don't understand what the information means, or if you come up with an improper conclusion, you can't formulate a proper response. And if your perception of the situation is off, you'll either overreact or underreact to the situation. And all of this can heap pain upon pain, and that is the essence of suffering. So to counteract ignorance, we have to first move into knowledge. Knowledge comes from a place of gain. When we gain more and better information, it helps us to gain a better understanding. But knowledge is not just the gathering of information. Knowledge is gained by being able to question your assumptions. Because to gain new knowledge, you have to be able to let go of what you thought you already knew. Now, if you know anything about the scientific process, you always start with a hypothesis. And then you do research, looking for results that will either support or disprove your assumption. In research, this process is done in an impartial way. You let the facts speak for themselves. In life, we would call this approach mindfulness. Mindfulness allows you to objectively look at life, to view things free from the overlays of judgment that typically come from a strictly emotional response. An old boss of mine used to say, "You don't know more than you know." Now, this is absolutely spot on. But the thing is, while you don't know more than you don't know all that you can know. And that is an important distinction. Unfortunately, many people fashion themselves as know-it-alls. And while they are confident in all that they know, that doesn't mean that their information is accurate or complete. I'm reminded of the old saying, the more you know you don't know. As knowledge increases, it should provide you with more context for the things you already think and believe. And an increase of perspective is what you need to point out the gaps in your knowledge. And once you can identify the gaps, you have the opportunity to seek the resources to help you develop a clearer picture. But simply gaining knowledge should not be our end goal. We should have our sights set on developing wisdom. Is there a difference? Absolutely. There's a quote about ignorance, knowledge, and wisdom that I love. It goes like this. Knowledge without experience is philosophy. Experience without knowledge is ignorance. Knowledge with experience is wisdom. Experience is what makes our knowledge useful. It becomes the litmus test that confirms whether our beliefs are theoretical or practical. So let's consider this example. When you're born, you don't know about heat conduction, right? That's a state of ignorance. And I'm sure you've experienced this with someone telling a child, maybe even you, not to touch a pot on the stove, often with a hot burn explanation. Right? This is a presentation of information. And a child might actually even be able to repeat that back, but it really doesn't know what it means until when? You guessed it, when it touches the pot. When it experiences what happens, that's when the information becomes real. But here's the thing. The experience doesn't have to be your own. Humans are able to learn through the experience of others. Learn what to do and what not to do. Learn from their hardships and triumphs. Learn from their successes and failures. Look, I don't know what it's like to be a woman in a man-dominated society, but I can certainly learn from my friends that are women. And maybe you don't know what the plight of people of color is, but you could learn from someone like me. But to learn from the experiences of others, you must listen with an open mind, with empathy. You have to be able to put yourself in their shoes. You can't simply process it through your own narrow personal experience. So, how do you become wise? Well, just remember this acronym. W, willing. To gain wisdom, you must be willing to accept that there are things you don't know, things you may be wrong about. You must be willing to learn. I, inquisitive. When you're inquisitive, you're always looking for a new or better way to approach things. You develop deeper knowledge by asking deeper questions about the simple things in life. and simple questions about the most complex. S, systematic. To turn knowledge into wisdom requires a systematic approach. There needs to be a purpose for your learning, a method to your madness. Without a systematic approach, it's hard to apply your knowledge in new situations. In psychology, they call this adaptive expertise. This is a skill that I've had to rely on for decades as a coach, to be able to take my knowledge and past experiences from different disciplines, different people, and different problems, and apply them in the current unique situation. And I can do this because I have a system for the way I look at problems and the manner in which I try to come up with a solution. E, experience. As I said before, wisdom is the combination of knowledge and experience. Learning more stuff won't make you wiser if you don't apply it to your life. Now, it's just like with this show. Every week, I provide you with some golden nuggets of information. And if you've been paying attention, you'll have gained a good deal of knowledge about how to master your mindful mindset. But if you don't apply that knowledge, if you don't experience the benefits firsthand, this will all end up being a waste of time for you. And we all know that wasting your time is not a wise thing to do. As you experience more, your understanding deepens, your perspective shifts, your understanding of what is possible grows, which opens you up for gaining new knowledge, which creates the opportunity for new experiences, which makes you even wiser. So when you're suffering from the pain of the first dart, make sure that you protect yourself from the second poison dart of ignorance by increasing your knowledge. Learn all that you can about the sources of your pain and how to better deal with it. Mindfully consider the meanings of the events, the thinking, and the decisions that may have led you to this moment so that you can gain the wisdom to not repeat the past. Research how others have dealt with the same situation. Gain strength and wisdom from what they have already endured. Form a new perspective that allows you to see things in a different light. And borrow their experience and add it to your own knowledge to create the adaptive expertise you will need to move beyond the pain into healing. So there you have it. I hope that you enjoyed our time together and that you have some new ideas on ways to prevent your pain from turning into suffering. If you have a question or a topic you'd like me to cover in a future episode, just drop it in the comment section. I'll do my best to help you out. Make sure you subscribe and share this episode with someone that you feel could benefit from this information, and also take time to check out all of the other fantastic programming brought to you here on the Candy Factory Collective. So, until next time, remember, it is what it is, but it becomes what you make it. So make it great. Mastering the Mindful Mindset is part of the Candy Factory mini-series and is a proud member of the Candy Factory Collective. You can find the show streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, and you can subscribe to the audio version anywhere you get your podcast.
Jose Johnson has traveled the world competing and teaching martial arts.
He's an entrepreneur, musician, author, and speaker.
Check out Jose's other podcast,
The Trumpet Gurus Hang.
And learn more about his book,
Mindfulness Secrets, at his website,
josejohnson.com.
Mastering the Mindful Mindset is produced by the Candy Factory Collective.
at the Candy Factory co-working campus in Lancaster, PA.
Our music was written and recorded by Jose. Production support by Anna Tran.
Administrative support by Ann Kirby, Ariana Henderson.
Krisha Martzel, Jason Mundock, and Robert Diggs.
Notes and links can be found at the show post at our website,
CandyFactoryCollective.com.
Candy Factory.
Collective.